Welcome back to our show, your show, Let's Talk Stocks. Back with us in the studio is Mr. Dean Nevers, CEO and founder of Konnexx Services, of course, a big Jamaican company going places. Welcome back, Dean.
Oh, thank you, man.
All right, so we spoke a lot in the first interview about who is Konnexx Services, how you started, the things you've been doing, the expansion across the region, and so on. What is, as we're changing, as the world changes, we now get more technological, things getting a little bit more advanced. What is the future looking like for a company like Konnexx Services and the telecom sector in general?
I think for us, persons have to understand that the technology improvements is happening every day. And with those improvements being so exciting, for any company to remain relevant, you have to change with the times. You have that saying, right? So how do you change with the times? You have to put things in place to keep abreast of what is happening so you can change your structure internally. So at Konnexx, we have a research and development team. We have a business development manager. These things are very important for us to make the changes real time and we not get left behind, right? So we all want technology, and of course, how do you implement the technology if you don't have the minds that can implement the technology ready to go, right? So it's important for us to not just have the administrative side going, but guess what? The training side is very important too, because you need the trained resources who can implement. And guess what? We have to invest. We have to invest because most youngsters or anyone leaving university or a training institution, the realities are they won't have access to certain resources. So we have to invest in our future via training. And we have a robust training department. We have a training manager that works with different members of the team. And we're constantly training persons in the new technologies, researching new technologies so that we're able to deploy these technologies.
That's very interesting. You spoke to some critical areas. I mean, you listen to the CEOs in first world countries and you do sound like you're a CEO out of America. That's very important, research and development. And that's something that we here in Jamaica need to build on. You spoke to training. Those are two critical areas and investing back in those areas. But I want to, as you speak about investing, to talk to you about the whole matter of how do we finance this kind of expansion and growth, because it's really a challenge. You can walk into anywhere, any bank, you get a car loan, just by saying who you are. But the reality for many of our entrepreneurs is raising capital to fund that expansion. And we're changing, but how do you find that?
I think it's, you know what, firstly I'm going to say it's very difficult. It's not easy. And the next thing is to thinking about operating outside of Jamaica. It's not easy. Outside of your home, it's not easy, right? And it's very hard. The reality is, if you're starting a business or if you have a business established, I would always say to persons to look around you at the strong support that you have in terms of individuals or companies that can support you. It might not necessarily be the bank, it could be an individual or a business associate. Look first to those resources to pull on, because it might be easier to get the required funding from a friend, a business associate. So you look to the low-hanging fruits pretty much first. The reality is, of course, banks are running a business. So you have to know what they want. So what do banks want? You can't just turn in and say, boy, you have a big business idea, you're going to turn over lots and things. They're running a business, so you have to be prepared too by doing your research in terms of knowing what the bank wants. So
Absolutely.
you're prepared. So you actually shut them up, and they'll pretty much be able to entertain you as best as they can. Meaning that you do your research to know that banks will always want your financials. Very, very important. Financials, cash flow projection to see how valuable or viable the project is that you're working on to justify your financial needs, and also your corporate governance structure to show that you can manage the money that they'll be giving you, right?
About corporate governance, Jamaicans as a whole, well, we're noted for starting new businesses, but we've by and large been very informal. That has changed in more recent times as we try to get more formal. But how important is something like corporate governance as you look to just operating a business, or even as you go to raise capital?
It's very important, because normally, when you start your business and you're excited about it, and the core part of it, that's your baby, you're good at it. But when you think about it, you weren't trained as an accountant, you weren't trained as a HR specialist, you weren't trained to take, whether if it's a product, to that next level. So you're not a sales, guru, per se. So the reality is, with your joy in terms of what you did to create your product, you can just take it to maybe 20%, but 20% not cutting it. To develop, and especially with a competition around you with even similar products, you're going to need the experts to actually guide you.
The best minds.
Yes, a good corporate governance structure to help to move it from that 20% to 50% or more, because like it or not, no matter what idea you have, there's just always something that is similar out there that you have to compete with, and not just Jamaica, but internationally. So you need that edge to get your product to the next level, and the support is good.
It's important that you mentioned that, because many people will see corporate governance. You're going to list on the stock exchange, for example. Good to have corporate governance, or you're going to the bank and so on. But even if you're going for certain contracts, you go to the government, they want to see that you have that, especially if you're going to international corporations and international governments.
Yeah, pretty much. Every contract that we would have done, so whether it's with the government or international companies, your corporate governance structure have to be very good. Everyone wants to protect their interest. So it's not just about giving you the work because you're Jamaican or you can do the job. The reality behind it, you have to have that structure to support the work that you're doing. And so it's very important, my advice to anyone in business, whether it is you're fairly new or you're getting there. It's important to start putting things in place, because what it means, you mentioned about maybe someone looking to go to the JC, and when you look at the requirements, when you start early, you have less to do when the time comes. So it's very important.
As we look again to wrap up, when we're talking to persons like you, the time run away so fast. What's next for Konnexx Services? You've built out, you've done it in Jamaica, you've established yourself, you're now looking at the region. What's next for Konnexx Services?
I think for us, to expand our services, and we talk about importance, whether nationally or regionally, as Caribbean people, we need the remittance coming back in. We don't have a lot of natural resources. Kudos to our brothers in Ghana and Trinidad, but outside of that, we have to export what we have. And it's important to develop these resources so it comes back in the form of payment, right? So for us, we have been in the Caribbean region. We're looking at the LATAM region, and we're also looking to develop the different types of engineering services that are required by the world. I was saying to someone that years ago, someone that could repair PCs were important in the early 2000s. That was a profession. Now it's extinct because you can learn how to repair your PC on YouTube, online, right? So we have to constantly change with the demands. And what it means is that constant research development. So what I'll say is we're looking to the region to put our services out there more. And of course that requires more funding. So how do you get more funding? I mean, yes, we have very good banking relationships with our banks, Sagicor, NCB is our secondary bank. But then what's next in terms of the support? Because the more capital you need, the reality is regular banking facilities
has to be debt financing. It
yes,
can be equity,
so
private or
regular banking facilities with debt, it can pressure you on the front end in terms of more you expand, and yes, you need the funds. So you take the funds, but guess what? In 3 to 4 weeks, you're paying the interest, so that hits you. So the interest cost hits you. You don't have your funds coming in based on your terms same time. So that's a tricky part that you have to know how to navigate because it can actually limit your growth. And I mean, for us, it's important to look at what's next. So yes, we have good banking support, I mentioned, from our bankers, Sagicor, NCB, but what's next in terms of the big financing to expand? The stock exchange may be one way, I mean, to look at it, because we definitely have to look at our viable options.
Yeah, equity financing is a big thing, whether private or listed. It is a big thing, a structured financing, absolutely. But as far as you're concerned, expansion is definitely happening with Konnexx services, and we should look out for some kind of expansion that may require additional capital and investment.
It will. Definitely. Right,
great, very great chat here with Mr. Dean Nevers, CEO of Konnexx Services, a company to watch, a Jamaican company built from the ground up, going places. You heard it from the CEO and founder himself, and that's why we do this show. That's why we tell you all the time, here on Let's Talk Stocks, we bring you information to make better financial decisions. Come back with us tomorrow morning at 9 when we'll have another wonderful program lined up for you.